Footage.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Welcome back, everybody. It's another Tuesday night chat with the Muskrat, Mr. Creole catfishing. And we got Mr. and Mrs. Jones down there hanging out with us. Today is Valentine's Day. So if you forgot, this is your only warning. This is
perfect.
So I got to
the perfect day for that.
I got to spend my Valentine's Day doing exactly what I love to do with one of my best friends and love him like a brother. So we was out fishing today. We got on some blue cats on the Ohio River. I haven't been catfishing other than one day in like a month and a half. Well, since I went to the James, we fished the one day for the Winter Blues tournament. And, it was only a 6-hour tournament. And I haven't fished before or after that since the James River. So I needed a good day, and we had a good day. We found some fish on the river. We couldn't get into the big fish. We caught fish just about everywhere we went, but they were all cookie cutters between 9 and 12 pounds. But we caught 21 of them.
That's what makes it fun. You get into numbers of fish that size. Oh yeah. It's always a good time.
It's 21 fish all around 10, 12 pounds. Trust me, we was having a good time, and
you better believe
we needed it. But real quick before we get going, I'll wait. I'll just wait a second, because a lot of folks asking for updates, and I've been trying to keep up with some folks, and there's a lot of people here in the community that have really stepped up and been checking on my health and my mom, and you guys know it's been a long story with her, so I'll wait a minute. We'll do a little update on that. But before we get started, we say hello to some folks that have eagerly been waiting. I know Mike Sampy. What is call him Sampy? Mike Sampson was the first one hanging out tonight besides Ernie Brown, who was here at 10 o'clock this morning.
Yes.
Just couldn't wait to get started. We got Mr. Avids in the house. Adventure with Robin C. What's going on, Robin? She's a channel member with us. Mr. Mike Greenwell in the house as well. Harold Bolton, another channel member. Thank you for being part of the team. Minnow Dunkers, what's going on? Tommy Long, Dale Hayslett, Miss Becca Mudtramp. Hello, Becca. Thank you for tuning in. Big Wrench Catfishing, another family member. Well, we got the clan hanging out with us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Good. That's good. We got Nubby's Catfishing, Super Smurf Fishing, reminding everybody we're 10 days away from CatCon. We got Kevin Walters. What's up, Kevin? Thank you for stopping in. Sean Abney. We need to get Kevin in here soon. We got a big tournament coming up. We got to get him on there and spreading the word.
Mm-hmm.
There's Bill Hopper, War Pig Catfishing, another channel member with us here. So thank you, brother. Thank you. Dave Garcher's in the house. El Gato, Mr. Chris Gamble. El Gato Azul TV. We're actually going to get those guys up on the show here within the next couple of weeks and just do some deep diving on, man. These guys have had they've just been on a roll. I mean, they're like a train, man. You can't stop these guys right now. So we want to get in on the excitement. So they're going to be with us here in the next week or two. See, KP, Takedown Catfishing, Mr. Kenneth Powell. Thank you for being here. Wabash Nate's in the house. Let's see. My chat's starting to jump on me.
No, I got you covered. Let's see. I saw Mr. Darrell in chat. What's going on? Trophy Seekers Outdoors. One of my river rat brothers, Richard, Fishing in Freedom. Congrats again, my brother. 88-pound blue, new PB.
Another guy's on a roll here lately, although Catfish Weekly snags him, so I won't go after him for a while.
That's okay. Whenever he catches another monster, we'll just have him on then.
There you go.
No problem.
Richard's also another channel member with us tonight, as well as V3 Custom Kentucky. Thank you guys so much for your support to the channel, helping us do what we love to do here for you guys.
See Mr. Paul Boyd in the house. A fish on. Ed Evans is in the house. What's going on, Ed? Let's see who else we got. Miss Sandy. What's going on, Miss Sandy? Good to have you in the house.
I love it. I love it when it's Valentine's Day and we got couples showing up together. We got a couple on the screen. You and I are, well,
we're kind of like a couple, kind of, in a way.
That's scary.
Well, right. I remind him that I'm strong enough for a man, but made for a woman.
Yeah, he's got to remind me of that every now and then. It'd be okay.
Sorry.
Miss Paula, what's going on, Miss Paula?
Hey,
Mr.
Paula Smith. Hold on a second. She got to ring that bell today.
Yes.
Paula Smith got to ring that bell today, and I know she's not feeling well. That was her last treatment, and we were supposed to get together and have a in-depth conversation. We're actually going to be back on Kentucky Lake, which first and only time I fished that lake was a tournament Matt hosted down there called the Blue Catfish Bash. Yeah, I believe that was what it's called, wasn't it?
Something like that. The Bluegrass Catfish Bash.
Oh yeah, Bluegrass Catfish Bash. That's what it was. And so we're gonna team up with Paula Smith, Zach and I are, and we're gonna fish a tournament down there here coming up soon, March 3rd. So John Boy's in the house as well. We got 50 people already. Hey, there's Brandon, Catfish and Dreams. What's up, buddy? Long time no see, man. Hope everything's going well your way. Mr. Jerry Parker Pursuits.
Jerry, what's happening?
All right. We got Don R, another channel member. Man, you guys are, you're making me feel all warm and fuzzy inside with the support tonight. Man, I love it.
And Chad is lurking as usual.
Chad is
Cheers
lurking.
to water. What's going on, bro?
Hey, so real quick, I won't keep us long, but a lot of you guys have been asking about how my mom's doing. It's been a long struggle. She's back in the hospital tonight. We don't know what's going on with her. She's not able to hold anything down. So with all the work she's had on her stomach, vomiting is not good. Unfortunately, it's been pretty vicious all day. So she's back in the hospital. Could use your thoughts and prayers. Send them her way if you don't mind. And hopefully things start progressing better for her. So, but honestly, hats off. Thank you guys so much for all those of you that text message, comment on, the Facebook post, or, I've had a lot of support and a lot of folks, just throwing comments out there. So she actually sees them all. She might be watching this, or she might be watching it after the fact, but Mom watches these, and she sees all you guys' comments.
That's awesome.
I show her the Facebook posts and stuff, and she has been overwhelmed with what the community does and how well you guys, stand together. So enough about that. Mom, if you're watching, I love you. Hang in there, girl. You got this. All right. Here we go. So down at the bottom of the screen, we've got, man, I've known these guys, been friends with these guys for, a long time. It's been a long time. Got to fish together with them. Got to fish together with you guys down in Kentucky there as we was talking. But if you guys don't mind, a lot of folks may not know who you are. If you could introduce yourselves and where you're from, what you're all about, and all that, and then we'll get rolling. Hey, John, I got your message, John. I will get with you.
Well, we've been around. I've been around way too long, and as far as catfishing goes, way back before the internet, traveling around, doing seminars, fishing. I started running a guide business back in 2003, 2004. Guided for flatheads for a long time. One of the only pure flathead guides around. Flathead's kind of a tricky fish to guide for. When people are paying you money and expecting you to catch flathead every day, the serious people know that that's a tough gig to do. So,
yeah.
But I always enjoyed it. I made a lot of friends. I had started the Catfish Academy back in the day.
That's right.
There was 3 or 4 big message boards out there. There was the Catfish Nation, Catfish One, the Catfish Academy, and met tons and tons of people. I think what's neatest about that is being.
Hang on a second. We lost your audio.
Lost audio for a second. What happened?
I don't know. You didn't move or anything.
No, nothing moves. Just all of a sudden the audio cut off.
Your audio is gone. Try at the bottom of the screen there. Try hit mute, and then I think you're live back. Say something.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if
I'm back.
We're good. Yeah, we're good now. No
You didn't
idea
do
what happened.
anything. I don't know what happened. I don't know if you got maybe a weak signal or
I don't know.
ghosts.
Can't be a weak signal, man. I got fiber optic piped right in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead,
absolutely wired right in.
aliens.
Well, I'm Michelle. I'm Matt's wife. I'm like behind the scenes a lot of the time. We're fishing partners. How long have we been partners together?
10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Done a lot of tournaments. Got a lot of interesting stories from fishing together as husband and wife.
Oh, I can only
So
imagine.
we had some fun, and we've gotten some great fish, and I've met a ton of great people like you guys and everybody out there listening, and it's just good times, and I'm looking forward to having some more.
Absolutely. Well, I got to be honest with you. There were some folks that I talked to behind the scenes. A lot of folks in chat. We bounce ideas off each other or ask questions. And one of the questions popping up here lately has been about flatheads, especially some folks that live in areas that only have flatheads. And I thought, hey, I know somebody who's really good at flatheads that lives in an area that doesn't have blues. That would be great for this question or these questions. And so that's what sparked me to come find you and get you on here. And to be honest with you, you've got a big following. You kind of got a circle, kind of out the west and still down in Kentucky and stuff where you've done a lot of your work in the past. And then we kind of got our circle. And I was like, let's get our circles together.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah.
I appreciate Becca's dropping his YouTube channel link out there. He's actually very close to 1,000 subs already. Matt's done, like he said, he had the academy, Catfish Academy. He's been around a long time. He is old school. And that's why his channel is called old school catfishing, because, we all change and evolve. Our electronics change, our gear changes, but guess what? Catfish, they haven't changed.
That's right.
If you know how to find them 30 years ago, and you can find them now. So, but anyway,
you bring a good point up when you say that too. Is the catfish don't change, but where they live and the structure and the current flow and the current, that all does change. So I think that's where a lot of people get in trouble, especially with flatheads, because they're a different creature than channel cats and blue catfish are. And, you really have to keep up with it. On my home river, the Rock River, which is about a medium-sized river, every year, in the spring, I'll go out like I am now catching winter channel catfish. But every day I drive around, I zigzag the river, I'm sonar and I'm looking, these logs are no longer here. This hole has filled in. There's a new log over here. This bridge pillar had a wood pile on it. It doesn't now, but this one does. And, just subtle changes like that in a flatheads, home area is a big deal. So it's whether you're fishing the Ohio River, Mississippi River, Great Big River, or whether you're fishing the Rock River, the Illinois River, or the Green River, or something small to medium. You have to keep that all in mind. You don't always want to fish with what worked this year or what area worked this year may not be so good next year or vice versa. So you got to keep up with the change.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
That's good advice. Tommy's got a question already for you. He's asking, what's your go-to live bait for flatheads?
Yeah, that's one of the number one questions I get. And I always tell people, first of all, if your location is correct, it's not a huge deal. However, if I have to have one bait to catch one fish in crunch time, I'm always going to say live shad, always. And, you cannot get too big.
There's no such thing.
What's that?
There's no such thing as too big.
There's really no such thing as too big with a flathead. I know a lot of people will freak out. I've had many people in the boat before when I've been guiding and, hang a 17 or 18-inch shad and the pole tip's bent over and this gigantic bait is sitting there wiggling on the line and they're like, no, they've heard you say that before, but they they thought, like most people on the internet, that you were really just kind of full of crap, to be honest with you, because most people on the internet are full of crap. What your idea of a big bait is and what my idea of a big bait is are two different things depending on where you're at in the country. So the first time somebody gets in your boat and they see a 1.5 pound, 2 pound shad dangling from a hook and you're getting ready to cast it, you know, half of them are just giddy with excitement because they're thinking, man, if something eats that, it's on. And the other half of them are like, this guy needs a psychiatrist because this is just stupid. So there's two different thought trains when it comes to that. But if I have to answer the question, like I said, if I could go fishing for the rest of my life with a live well full of 13 to 17 inch shad alive, that would be all I would ever take.
Awesome. Woo. And what do we like, Roger?
We like donkey baits.
We like big baits.
Like big baits, and I cannot lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like big baits around here too, buddy. I've done the same thing.
You know, a lot of people think that big baits eliminate small fish, and they don't. You know, especially when you're talking about flatheads. I mean, I have caught flatheads 6, 7, 8, 9 pounds on 16-inch live shad. I mean, people have to remember that their belly will stretch to the whole length of their body. So if they can fit it in their mouth, they can eat it. Just like a python, but a python can detach its lower jaw. Flathead can't do that, but if it fits in their mouth, they can eat it. So, you know, if you've all seen a 7 or 8 pound flathead, their mouth's about that big around. Mm-hmm. You know, they can get it. They get a pretty good sized fish in there.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of fans here. They call them donkey baits. Mr. Tim Scott started that whole trend with the donkey bait thing. But yeah, there's a lot of guys here that and girls that love to throw big baits. And just like you said, I've experienced the same thing. I remember fishing with J-Dog one night, and I think I had like a 2 pound hybrid bass. And I double hooked it, and he's like, "What are you doing with that?" And I'm sending him out a hole. He's alive. I caught him on the hook. He said, "Ain't no fish in this river going to eat that." Like 15 minutes later, we caught like a 12 or 13 pound flathead on a 2 pound bait.
Yeah,
I was like, I told you. Same thing. He thought, well, if something hits that, it's got to be a monster, and I catch a 13 pound flathead. He's like, "What?" Now, when you got a bait like that, Matt, do you double hook them?
No. There's two things I never do with flatheads, and it's just a personal choice. Number one, I never run a bait clicker, and number two, I never run 2 hooks.
Okay.
I've said it thousands of times before, but I like flathead better than I like people, and I would rather miss a fish than gut hook and kill a flathead. I will not take the chance of them swallowing a hook. And that's just personal preference. I do the same thing every time. I get a bite with a flathead. I pick up the rod. When they pump me to the water, I set the hook. You know, and that's personal preference. Has it cost me a few fish over the years? Probably. But I just do not take chances on gut and hook flathead. I won't. And that's just that. I feel like if you're desperate enough to kill one, then you don't need to be fishing for them anyway. So that's just my opinion. Like I said, again, I don't want to get the other side irritated. If people are fish for flatheads to eat them and they're following the law, then more power to them. I just, I'm not that kind to go on the internet and bash people for what their legal fishing rights. That's up to them. And my way is just the way I do it because of how I feel. But hell, I don't dislike somebody because they want to eat a flathead and they don't care if they got hooked. That's fine. That's their choice and their God-given right. So I do things my way because I love flatheads and I've guided for them for a long time. They made me money. I mean, it was kind of livelihood. I was just a guide for a lot of years. I was a guide. I guess you would call it professional guide. I know the word professional and legends and all that gets thrown around Facebook like it's a dirty sock. So
Well,
that whole thing's been.
The definition of professional fisherman is when you are paying your bills by fishing, you're professional. And you, my friend, a professional, you were paying the bills and making ends meet by fishing. So,
yeah, I was.
You're
but I never ever once
that earned that title.
Well, you're never going to go back. You're never going to go back through anywhere on any television show I did or any YouTube that I did or any seminar I did and hear me refer to myself as a professional, because catfishing, I've got to do so many things in catfishing that as a little kid, I would have never in a million years thought I would ever get to do. To go through weigh-in lines and throw sponsors product to people and to autograph things and to be on TV and to do. I mean, if you would have told me I was going to get to do that stuff when I was 6 years old, sitting on the bank of the Elkhorn Creek with my Zebco 202 catching 1 and 2 pound channel cats, I'd have told you were crazy, right? But I love the sport. I hate to see where it's gone in some avenues, but when it gets so much on the internet that you can't stand it anymore, the one thing that never changes is the fishing. You can just go fishing, and you can do what you want to do, and you can enjoy it. And so mine's, I'm an old beat up man now, man. I've been through a lot the last 4 or 5 years, but catfishing is still. I was out there today, and it was 32 degrees. The wind was blowing. It was sprinkling rain, but I caught 20 or 30 channel cats today, just like you caught your blues today. And I had one that was 10 plus, like 10-4, and that's, up here on the Rock River, 10-4 is a really, really good channel cat.
No kidding.
Yeah, especially at this time of year. So I was tickled pink. On the way upriver, there was beautiful pre-dawn suns. The sky was beautiful, and there's eagles flying over, and there was deer running on this bank, and there was a bunch of turkeys on this side. I felt like I was, filming an episode of Grizzly Adams there for a second.
And that sounds so much like sounds just like me and Zach, actually. I swear, this morning we stopped before we put the boat in. The sun was just starting to come up, and we just stopped and said, man, we're lucky. We are just so blessed to be able to go out here and, this beautiful creation and watch the world wake up as we, launch the boat. And we just stopped there for a second, just kind of took a deep breath and looked at it. And but we're weird like that too. I mean, we love the Eagles. The Eagles were flying over us today, and we were making a big deal about it every single time. And you made a great point just a second ago. You caught a 10-pound channel cat, and that's freaking big for where you're at. Yeah. And so we talk a lot about trophies, and what everybody considers a trophy. And where Matt's at, a 10-pound channel cat is man, that's a big deal. And like you go down where Creole's at, you ain't ever going to see channel cat that big, are you?
No. Oh no. They don't get over 3-4 pounds, because there's too many big blues. They just don't. The biggest one I've ever caught in my life was maybe 3.5 pounds. They don't.
Well, hey, Matt, let me get a couple questions out to you, because I see some starting to build up, and I want to make sure that we try to get through some of them. But El Gato wants to know what your favorite rods are for chasing flatheads.
And this some people, I'm glad he asked that. I have been criticized at times. We lost somebody.
His camera just shut off for a second.
Oh, okay. I have been criticized at a few times throughout my career because I have had so many sponsors. But one of the benefits of having gone through the things that I have went through is when I speak about a product, I have a really good opinion of it because I have really used everything there is, or most everything there is. So I feel real lucky in that manner because I've been fortunate enough to use a ton of people's products. And while we're talking about that, before I say that, I just like to say something that people need to understand on the internet is, if you like a product, a particular product, praise the heck out of it. Praise the heck out of it all you want to, but don't be negative about the other people's products.
Yeah.
If you
100%.
you love one product and you want to be a pro, or you want to have sponsors, you want to advance yourself, love the heck out of what you use, talk about it whenever you get a chance to, but do not knock anybody else's product. Leave them be, let them make it. There's plenty of room in the world of catfishing for 100 rod companies, 100 boat companies, 100 rod holders companies. Let them be. So with that being said, I love a rod with a decent amount of backbone. I like kind of a shortest. I don't like a real long butt, mainly because, sometimes I get short people, not her, because she's 6'2" Amazon, but I like kind of a shortish butt on my rods, and I like a decent backbone. And what a lot of people don't understand about flatheads is they are a very precision type catching fish. They're not the brute as far as the hit that the blue cats are. Not that they can't be, don't get me wrong. A flathead can turn a rod inside out in a heartbeat, but a lot of times when flathead are kind of negative, kind of neutral, or they're right on cover. I like to fish flatheads during the day, and a lot of times when they're on that cover during the day, they're going to inhale a bait and they're not going to move very far. So if you're expecting them to take off running with it, it's just not going to happen most of the time. So I need a rod that is going to show me everything. So right now, I am using Mad Catz rods, and I absolutely love them. I think they did a great job, bringing in a bunch of different colors, because, the younger generation now is all about matching their shoes to their boat, to their rods, to their bling and all that stuff. And so
that's part of catfishing. That's cool.
Hey,
That's right.
things, like you said, things just, they kind of happen, hey, and if a guy wants to have a red boat and 15 red rods in his boat, and hey, whatever, hey, that's, more power to you. But I think they've done a great job. Great. I love the grips they have on the rods. The backbone is perfect. They have 4 different actions. They, the rods, they have stainless steel guides. They're really, really, they have aluminum reel seats. Not that you necessarily need aluminum. I like aluminum, but I've done plenty of great rods out there with plastic reel seats as well. Graphite reel seats, doesn't really matter. Yeah, right now I'm using Mad Catz and love them. Yeah. Really, really good rod. But I'll never have a heavy action rod in my boat. It's, most of my rods are medium light, medium. I do have a couple medium heavy, but I really like to have that soft tip.
Okay.
And I run all casting rods, and Michelle likes to use spinning.
Gotcha. So. Well, just knowing the action of it, I think probably answered a lot of questions for some folks is about that sensitivity level, and whether it's a fast tip or moderate action tip. I'm a big fan of Mad Catz. I think Matt Knight is a great individual. Like you said, you almost can't buy a bad rod. I mean, they're all good. They're all going to do what you need them to do for the most part. A lot of personal preference, and for me, a lot of my purchasing comes from more about how I feel about individuals. So, for instance, I went to an expo this weekend, and I won't talk about the product in case this person's watching, but their product was actually a really good product. but they were bashing other people's products to make theirs look good. And that just turned me off immediately. And where I may have purchased some of this person's product, I just walked away because that's just not how you do business. And there's so many other great companies to choose from. I just do business with somewhere else.
Yeah.
To your point, exactly, love what you love and let everybody else love what they love,
Right.
Another question.
That's the way to do. My mama here, she swears by her spinning stuff, and she's really good with it. My biggest problem with her is, she wants to cast 150 yards every place we stop.
And I catch fish.
I was getting ready to say, does she outfish you?
She does sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, usually the women outfish
She
you. So
I go there and I go there.
She's OCD, so she's always got a plan, and my plan is set up on the cover that's right behind the boat, and she's over the cover. And it works sometimes. Never be so I don't know what it is, egotistical, or not egotistical. Never be so
think outside the box.
Yeah, never be so sure that just because where you think the fish is, that you're right. You just never know. In fact, a lot of the biggest fish I have caught have been what I call it throwing off. Hitting the cover and then throwing long out to the sides and just letting them bait bounce down. And, you catch a lot of fish there that you might not have really thought would have been there. You're expecting the fish to come back here, and, so we don't know. We don't know what's going on under the surface of the water. We just think we do.
That's one of my favorite things to do. We call it a swing rod. We'll throw like 90 degrees out, and we'll play with our weight until the bait actually does keep bumping down and, sweeping back behind the boat. Speaking of that,
it's basically it's bumping.
Yeah, from a stationary position in a way. I mean, you're covering water. A couple questions here. Robin C wants to know, and John Boy, I'll mix their questions together here. They want to know what your favorite rig setup for flathead is, and what type of hook do you like to use? Circle hook, J hook? I see you're wearing a name brand hoodie there.
Yeah, she could almost answer all these questions for me, because she's heard me. She's been to she's been to seminars for 10 years, so she hears me talk about this. And sometimes I hate it for her, because she has to listen to me regurgitate this information sometimes over and over again, and I feel bad for her. But that's why she's a great wife. So, as far as favorite hook, and I'll tell you why. I run Boss Cat hooks, obviously, but the Super J's in particular. I do not run circle hooks for flatheads. I won't. I never have. And the reason for that is because, I learned to fish for flatheads during the daytime. And when you're fishing flatheads during the daytime, you're going into the cover where they live, whether that be a bridge pillar, or that be a brush pile, or a rock pile, or a big single rock, or whatever it is. You're going to where he is already set up for the day, and he's basically neutral fish. So he's laying there, maybe with no plans to eat, but he's an opportunistic fish. So if something happens to pop in, he might grab it. And I have caught so many good fish over the years that inhaled the bait, which you get your pop on the rod, and then they do this, and they don't move. So when they do that, you're rendering a circle hook completely ineffective. You need that fish to turn and run for a circle hook to be really effective. Okay, so fishing the way I fish for flatheads in cover, the J hook is the only option. Now I know, because I know people are going to say, well, I use circle hooks and it's worked just fine for me. And I said, you know what? That's great. Congratulations. Keep on using them.
Yeah, if you're fishing and you're catching fish, don't change it. If it's working for you, don't change it. Yeah, don't switch it up just because.
Don't break it if it ain't good. Don't fix it if it ain't broke. Yeah, something like that. Sounded like I was skipping there for a second.
Yeah.
No, but you just, for me, and the second part of that equation is, I still, as a 52-year-old man, one of the biggest thrills in life is a fish pumping you down, the adrenaline starting to build, like a big buck's coming through the woods. You're getting ready to draw your bow. That adrenaline builds. That 15-inch bait has just been inhaled, and that rod's being pumped away from you by a flathead. And them couple seconds there, right before you get ready to rear back, is, super, super exciting. And that's it. And that's the part of catfishing that the internet has forgotten. It's become a dog and pony show. That's the part of it that if you don't feel that, if your intention is to have to go out and catch a fish so that you have a new avatar picture or so that you can beat this guy or that guy, that's great. To me, it's all about that moment. And it can be on a channel cat too, picking up a bait and pulling it away from you. But that adrenaline rush right before you set hook is just never gets old.
That's really good. I love the thought process behind the J hook there.
Yeah, I do.
You're right. There's so many times when you see your rod get hit, and then you're like, well, I guess he's done. And then you'll go to pack up and move to your next spot, and you're like, hey, there's a fish on here. Because he never turned. He never hooked himself. If you had yanked or pulled on that, in the beginning, you lost him. But, he sat there and inhaled that bait, and he was never turned to the position that you could, that a circle hook was going to be effective. So that's
right.
That just sunk in on me. I'm thinking, man, now I got to buy some J hooks. I run D85. I mean, that's pretty much all I run. The Boss Cat. I've never tried a Boss Cat. They're pretty much the same thing, but
they are the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's the same hook, and when I do run circle hooks for channel cats, or during the summer months, or if I do come down south and blue catfish a little bit, that's what I run, the Boss Cat, and it's the BK85. It's the same thing. And
Boss
great
Cat
hook.
It just looks cooler. So
it does. And Ron, again, when you're using a product, something else that you you appreciate is the people behind it. And Ron Stallings is a great dude. I've been saying for years, everybody hears me talking about Dave Geary and he's the owner of GNS Cheese Bait. That cheese bait company's been around for 50 years. 53 years now. How many manufactured bait companies have you seen make it for 53 years? Not very many.
I don't know.
Exactly.
That tells you a lot about the product, and it tells you a lot about the people. So
hey, Danny,
longevity, good stuff.
So right now the water is cold. Obviously, it's going to be colder a lot longer for you. Rod Knockers DE85 does come in a 10-aught.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they come in a 10-aught. And if you message me, I buy all mine bulk. I buy them by the 100. That's the smartest way to buy them. It's the cheapest way to buy them. And there's a lot of good hooks out there. And I'm not going to say any of them are bad. But man, I love them Diachi hooks, and I can get them for a great price, and I'm confident. So, but what I was getting at, so the water's cold right now. So things start to warm up. Talk us through, temperatures when we start to see this, what to expect, and how do we first get on these first early flathead when the water start getting to the right temperatures.
Well, there's 2 times of the year, really. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's 3 or 4 times, but the 2 major times of the year when you have mass migrations of flatheads is, as the water warms and then as the water cools. Yes, there's a lot of movement around spawn and stuff too, but I personally don't start targeting flathead until the water's about 50 degrees. Okay. Our water here is 34. Typically you can almost set your clock by it because ground temperature for morel mushrooms has to be about 50 to 51 degrees for them to start. And typically the water temperature is real close to flathead starting right about the same time the morel mushrooms start around here. And I love both of them. Yeah. And God did that to me because he's got a real funny sense of humor. So, I'll go mushroom hunting and there ain't no mushrooms up, and then I can say, well, I should have went flathead fishing and vice versa. So that's why that happens. But when you start targeting flathead right off the bat, when you get to your 50-degree range, at least that's what I wait for. I'm going to be targeting the areas right away where they're wintering, where I know they're wintering or where I suspect that they're wintering. And then as the water warms naturally, I'm going to expand that strike zone, so to speak. By time the water is in the 60s, you can expect to start finding fish in your typical summer hunt areas, creek mouths, areas like that. They're looking to feed. Now you got to remember these fish haven't ate much all winter. Not that they haven't ate at all. But I know, we've dropped cameras on flatheads up here on this river, and they don't even react to the camera. And, so we have bounced night crawlers and redworms. Now I have caught, typically on a full winter up here, I will catch on redworms or night crawlers. I'll catch 2 or 3 flathead, but typically they're all snagged or all but one. I'll catch one by the mouth in the winter on accident. And then I just stopped fishing the areas where I knew flatheads were kind of mixed in with channel cats. And yeah, a lot of people will get kind of confused by that. Channel cats and flatheads together, but flatheads are sort of territorial and mean. That's not the truth. But so 50, I'm in around those wintering areas, which wintering areas typically are wood, a big, anything like a direct drop off, not a drop off, so to speak, that comes and gradual drops off, but it drops off the face of the earth. Yeah. Anything that redirects the current.
Yeah.
Yeah. A big drop off with wood or rock on it is even much better. So I'm targeting those areas. And then, like I said, as the water warms and the fish start to spread out and move to individual pieces of cover and different parts of the river, why then you can go back to your, more of your sticking and moving and covering your more summer type pre-spawn areas. So there's a lot to it. There's a lot of work in it. And, my theory or my motto has always been, if I target good cover with good bait enough times during the day, I'm going to catch fish. And a lot of people tend to get hooked up on throwing 3 or 4 baits in a good looking deep hole and just sitting there for hours and hours and hours. And that does pay off sometimes, but just you can have a lot more success changing that strategy a little bit. But when the water temperature gets up to the upper 60s, that's the peak. When you've got 65 to 70 degree water, them fish they are hard charging then. They're everywhere. They've moved up to dam faces. They're in cover. They're eating. They are riled up. They just got to the nightclub, but they've had 6 beers and everybody else just kind of walking in the door, and they're fired up and they're ready to get going. And that's when you really, that heavy appreciation. You've been there, I'm sure. But yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know you don't. Yeah, you liar. But anyway,
oh man.
So and then obviously you hit your spawn in the mid 70s, and and we all know how the spawn can be. And I'll tell people if they're fishing during the spawn, go shallow, use bait stealing, use a bait stealing, nest threatening type bait. That's when you want to go to a bullhead or a bluegill or something like that. That a big male flathead protecting a nest is going to strike in protection mode. So, and then your post spawn, that's your summer mode. They've spawned. The big females and that's another thing. If I can touch on it for a second, I talk a lot. You'll have to shut me up.
I will not shut you up. You're on.
This is your show now.
I'm loving it.
Well, I tell people all the time, they'll say, the fish are spawning, I ain't fishing. And I'm like, I understand that. I get that. I know the fishing can be tough during the spawn, but what they have to understand is a male flathead will prepare a nest. A female will come in, she will lay her eggs, and she's gone.
That's it.
Her spawn is done. Literally. She can literally be on that nest for an hour or a day, but she's not going to be there very long. Right. And then the male, doing what males have to do, because the women want to go play, the male comes in and he protects the fry until they can swim off on their own. Yeah. So to think that you can't catch big fish during the spawn is just crazy. It's just crazy. The location might be a little different. They might be up in 5 or 6 foot of cover. She might lay her eggs and recuperate in some shallow cover, before she's off and feeding again. But do not think that because when the fish go in the spawn, that every fish over 6 pounds is spawning and cannot be caught, because you're missing out on 2 or 3 weeks of fishing that can be very productive. So don't do that. Right.
Yep. And that's true because
the big macho man.
Yeah.
The biters slow down, but that's only 50. That's because 50% of the fish, ideally, 50% of the fish being males, they are on nest and guarding and protecting eggs. But the other 50%, they're still hungry. They're still doing what they were doing the day before yesterday. I mean, they didn't change. So
so that's people need to understand that it's not like you have to take the month of July off because the fish are spawning. I mean, you can catch some really great quality fish and have some. It's a great time. It's a great time to experiment. Also, this is a great time to float a planer board up into some shallow cover. It's a great time to throw a big bobber. It's a great time to experiment with these things that maybe you haven't done before. If you've got some current flowing into a shallow brush pile, run a planer board over there in 5 or 6 foot of water and let that bait dangle in front of there. Get right on, let your boat float back into a brush pile and just sit no anchor and just drop a bobber along a few logs laying there. You'll be surprised. There's some big fish laying in, like I said, recuperating females. So, I mean, great time to experiment with new things. I mean, if you do the same thing all the time and you're one of those people that does that and you say, well, man, I just never catch anything in July and I never catch anything in the winter. Well, try something different and figure it out. Extend your fishing season to 12 months.
Yeah, that's it. There's quite a few of us like that. We got some really hardcore, dedicated fishermen in this chat tonight, and a lot of folks that might not be in chat now, but just like you said, I was out today. Me and Zach got out today and got on some fish. We caught 21 fish over 10 pounds. They were between like 10 and 12 pounds. We couldn't get it past 12, 13 pounds, I don't think today, but we got a lot of fish.
You're a typical fisherman, because earlier it was between 9 and 12. Now it's 10 and 12.
Well,
so you're fudging.
No, you caught that too.
No,
I caught that. See, he caught that.
Yeah,
the longer the show goes, the bigger the fish get.
I was going to say, by the end of the show, we'll be up to 12 to 15. So just
we're all 12 to 15.
That's right.
I got you. I know where you're coming from. You know, but
and
then to finish, what's that?
I had somebody had another question for you, but go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Ed Evans would like to know what you consider a good day of flathead fishing. So, like numbers wise or size wise, what's a good day for you?
I'm wondering if she can answer this for me. Go ahead.
I bet
if you catch a flathead, it's a good day.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, to me,
catch a flathead. If you can go out there during the day and you can target a flathead and convince him to eat the bait that you throw in front of him and hook him and bring him to the boat to take a picture of him and release him back in the water, your day is complete. Am I right?
Yep. She's right. That's my opinion. To elaborate on it just a hair more, people, that sounds so easy the way she said it, right? Go out, catch fish. To people that haven't put years into flathead fishing, they don't know what that always takes. I mean, you're talking catching bait, keeping bait alive, checking all your gear to make sure it's in good shape, because if you do happen to catch a big one, Nixon lines and dull hooks, none of that stuff is gonna work. Being in the right spot at the right time, making a proper cast and putting the bait right where it needs to be. I mean, there's so much that goes into catching every flathead you catch. Now, granted, sometimes you're out there and you have those days where you just feel like you're invincible, right? It seems like every time you throw a bait on a piece of cover, you catch a flathead, and you're just dumbing into them left and right. But, for the most part, it comes down to there's a lot goes into every flathead you catch when you think about it. Lots of work, so I try to enjoy everyone and when everybody, exactly what she said. When I get asked that question, I say, pal, if you go out and do everything right and targeting flathead catfish and you catch one that day, you had a great day.
I feel the same way. I can catch like 50 blues, but I catch a decent flathead. That's the one I remember.
Yeah.
They're just special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just, hey, real quick, Jimmy had a question about what rig you would use for bank fishing, but I don't think we got into what rigs you're using.
Yeah, I think we can get into that. 80% of the time, 85% of the time, probably I'm running a Carolina rig. I'm varying the length of the leader, depending on, if I'm fishing drop-offs, or bridge pillars, I can let that leader be a lot longer. There's less chance of that bait getting wrapped up so tight on something that he can't move anymore. If I'm in heavy cover, obviously I'm shortening that leader up to keep him a little bit more tight to where he can't wrap things up. When I do vary the Carolina rig, I'm basically just going to a three-way wig. Say that 3 times fast. Holy moly. I'm going to a three-way rig, and I'm dropping my sinker down. These situations are like at Mississippi River dams, where you got a lot of rock, where I can drop that sinker down, keep the bait up a foot or two off the bottom, and let it move around. Situations like that, where I will do that dead sticking when I'm dead sticking, basically, or whatever. But those are basically the only 2 rigs that I run, but I vary depth, length, and then subtle things like, maybe I want to run a line rattle for a little extra noise, things along those lines. But variations of those 2 rigs is basically all I run for flatheads.
Okay.
There you go. Somebody just asked if you like to use rattles or floats, so kind of hit on that there.
Hey, she always has a rattle on regardless.
Yep.
And people don't realize, research the Ampullaea lorenzini and you'll see, the gel-filled pits that the flathead have under their chin, they can, the electrofishing, their capabilities are amazing of what they do. I mean, they can sense a heartbeat of a bait on the other side of a piece of cover. they have amazing, amazing sensory perception. You know, their rival's a great white shark. I mean, they're amazing creatures. All catfish are amazing creatures. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing what they can do, how they can find baits, you know, not just by electroreception, but, you know, then you throw in their scent and everything else, their sense of smell and everything else. And they have good vision, you know, so they're just an amazing fish. I mean, so many things that they can do, and lots, the more sensory perceptive fish is, obviously gives you more ways to try and trick them into, right. You know, you got the clonk, you've got rattles and floats, and, you know, back in the day before these dragons and all this stuff came out and the big ball line rattles came out, they had these little bitty inline black ones that you could run your line through, and it had a couple of ball bearings in them. And I think they used them for walleye. And I've been using those for 30 years. In fact, one day I was in a Walmart store in my local town, and I heard some kids on the other aisle, and they were talking about how Cat Matt cheats, and that's how he catches so many flathead. They said that I used to drive my boat around, and I would tie rattles off the back of my boat, and that would attract the flatheads to the boat. And, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, well, hell, I said, I was just happy that two kids knew who I was. I didn't care what they were saying. Hell, they could have called me pretty much anything. I thought it was pretty cool. They knew who I was, but I thought that was the stuff people will come up with. But that was pretty good. I mean, them little kids would probably be in their 40s now, or 30s anyway. But I thought that was pretty good. But them little ball bearing line rattles for walleye, and I think Creole knew what I was talking about. I started using them at least 25 years ago, and always been a big advocate. I don't know if a lot of people do. Maybe just a little quick tidbit here, because I like to talk and I never run out of wind. A lot of people probably don't know that the Japanese used to use bullhead catfish to detect earthquakes. I don't know if a lot of people know that. But they could watch these fish in tanks, and they would, because they were so sensory perceptive, they connected their reactions in the tank to earthquakes and aftershocks and everything. So it's just an example of, you pull a catfish in a boat. I know, like you said, you caught 21 today. I caught 20 or 30 today, and whatever. Every one of them fish you catch is really a marvel of nature with what they can do. So, can't take them for granted, really. They are a really, really awesome fish.
Absolutely. You're in the right place. We're some long-winded folks here, and we love our catfish here.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. So one of the things I caught earlier was Michelle talking about bringing the fish to the boat, taking this picture and letting it go. And, there's a huge part in our responsibility and your passion when you said, you wouldn't use a double hook because, you're not going to take a chance of killing a fish, to catch a fish. It's just not worth it to you. And I love hearing that stuff. And I wish more people had, that passion. I use double hook rigs on certain things too. Like I've been down, of course, Doc Lang won't either. Now that I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, he won't. And
he won't
what
use a double hook. Yeah, because we're running skipjack like 2 pounds, and I'm like, what if he just grabs the back of it? I want to get him. He's like, hey, if he ain't big enough to take the whole thing, he ain't big enough. I'm like, what?
Yep. That's what he says.
That's what Doc Lang says. He said, if he ain't big enough to take it all, I don't want him. I was like,
now keep in mind that most of us that when we do run double hook rigs, we're running double circle hooks, not double J hooks.
Right. That's true.
There's a little bit less of a risk of that back hook if it's a circle hook gut hooking a fish. It still could happen, but it's a less of a chance. But that's more of a blue cat thing.
Right.
I don't look down my nose no how. I mean, like I said, it's each, it's people are following the law. It's their legal right to do what they want to.
Oh yeah.
We don't get to dictate policy to people. Even though I have got to be part of writing some legislation and some stuff in my career, and I've been part of a lot of tagging surveys. I've got to do a lot of stuff. I feel like I have helped some, but I've always tried to work by the theory that you see somebody on the internet or somewhere out on the creek bank doing something that you don't like, you have more of a chance of influencing that person in a positive way if you go up, introduce yourself, talk to them, kind of work into the conversation why you do things different instead of calling them a freaking beep, 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 and banning them on Facebook and saying, look at this dude over here doing this, or this guy fishes Pay Lake, he's an asshole. That guy that fishes at Pay Lake, he might not have any knowledge at all of what's going on from that Pay Lake, but that guy also probably has a wife, he probably has kids, he probably has bills. You know what? Let's try to take a different approach to get these people's attention and educate them and give them the knowledge to make an educated decision on this before we just call them all buttheads and throw them all in one pot together, because that's why we haven't gotten anything to work to this point, because we come from an area of hate and anger. Although we all claim to be God-fearing people, we want to judge all these people and call them names, but yet we claim to be God-fearing people. And that's, how hypocritical is that? So let's try to befriend these people, feed them knowledge, show them what we love with a lot of enthusiasm, and see if we can't convert them that way. Yeah. And then when nobody's showing up at the Pay Lakes no more, that issue will take care of itself.
Right. Yeah, that's always been our big stand here is education. Education, I think, fixes more problems. Let's face it. If you walk up and jump down somebody's throat, I don't care what they're doing. They're just immediately going to get defensive. I mean, I don't care what they're doing. You're never going to get anywhere. You might as well just turn around and walk away, because that conversation's over. But take the time to talk to somebody and educate them on, because my biggest thing is I can relate to them. I say, hey, I used to do Pay Lakes too, because I had no clue. My buddies all went to the Pay Lakes. They was catching big catfish. Hey, I want to catch a big catfish. Mm-hmm. We went to the Pay Lakes. Then I realized, hey, where are these catfish coming from? And it was like, they're coming out of the river. I was like, how many catfish are in the river? They're like, there's plenty. Nope. No, there's not. Nope. The numbers are going down. Yep. And so, yeah, great avenue there. Education is always going to win over what do they say? You get more bees with honey than vinegar or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't come off abrasive and just be sour. It's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. I know one question that I love asking people who specifically target, flatheads or, yellowcat, as we call them down here.
I know what you're going.
I know. Roger already knows the question I'm going to ask, because he knows how I am. Especially if you had to speak to someone who primarily targets blues. That's just what they do, is blues, but they want to target yellowcat. What are some pieces of advice that you give these people? Because it's two different types of fishing. We know that. What are some of the pieces of advice you can give to these people, and maybe some of the common things you see, especially blue cat fishermen doing wrong when they're trying to target flatheads, but they're just not doing things quite right?
Well, first of all, I'm a big advocate of not speaking on things that I would never. I've always said, like blue cats, I am not an authority on blue cats. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't know if what they're doing with blue cats was transitioning well or not well to flatheads. But I do know, the biggest issue right off the bat is, and it's all simple stuff. One, they give up too soon. Mm-hmm. One thing you can expect with flathead fishing is failure. You know, when you decide to throw all your ideas out the window and just go target a flathead, you're gonna fail some. I'm not saying you won't have any, but anybody that says different is lying, or they're a bass fisherman. But yeah, so you're gonna fail. Just expect that, regardless of how good a fisherman you are. Because a lot of big flatheads you see on the internet are caught by guys fishing for blues that accidentally catch a flathead, and we all know that. But I think some of them guys, if they pay attention, and some of them do, some of them are really good fishermen, they'll notice where they caught that fish, why they caught that fish, and they'll start to put something together with that, and they can figure things out real quick, and make little adjustments when they want to target flatheads or whatever. If they're fishing a system that's known for big flatheads, they can make that jump pretty quick. But you know, there's little things. Placement of your baits is absolutely key, especially during the day, which means if you're fishing from a boat, you have to know how to anchor. You have to. And people say, that's easy. I just pull up there and I throw the anchor out and I float back a few feet and I tie it off. Well, there's a lot more to anchoring, than just doing that. Anchoring is really a science. Yep. And she knows. She's really good at, and when you got two people, it's incredible when you can work together with a team like we do, where I know exactly where I'm going and I can say now. She can get the anchor in the water. I can float back to where I want to be. She can make sure we're tight, pull us tight, and we're set up good. But, when you want to target a piece of cover and you want to have a bait right here and you want to have a bait right here and your current flow is this way, you don't want to be over here, because you're going to throw this bait and it's going to get wrapped up and this bait's going to float away from your cover, right? So there's a lot to that. But I always say boat placement and bait placement are, if you can't get those right, you're just 100% relying on luck, and you're going to spend a lot of your day frustrated and snagged. So before you worry about what bait you're throwing and what hook you're using and what rod you're using and what reel you're using, and you need to worry about placement. Bait placement, boat placement, and if you're on the bank even, it's important. Make sure if the current is, get a read on the current, make sure you're throwing the right amount of weight. So make sure you're on the bank where you can get your bait in front of the cover and let it kind of slowly work into it. There's a lot to it, but you got to make sure your baits are where the flatheads are, real close to them. And I had a buddy that always said, you're never going to kill a big deer where big deer don't live.
That's true.
But it's the same with big fish. You can catch them traveling up on their feet, so to speak, during the day or something. But if you want to consistently do it, I guess when we all, it's kind of cliche, but you got to pay attention to the details because they make all the difference.
Some of the detail that I look for, because I get to drive the boat too occasionally and fish.
You do a good job.
And I don't always look at the electronics that we have in the boat, and we don't have fancy electronics. I look at the water and the little bubble trail that's going down the water and reading the current of the water. Like if I'm, by the side of the main channel or if I'm by the side of the bank. Obviously, the main channel is going to move quicker than what the bank does. So when you throw, you have to read how far your sinker is going to go to get to where you want that bait is. If you throw it by the bank and throw it out, it's not going to drift quite as far as if you're throwing out to the edge of the channel and it moves down and it sits out there and it just keeps moving. But if you look for that little bubble trail that's going down the side of the current, or you're sitting there and you see little eddies of water, maybe there's something underneath there and it's going to keep that bait right there
Yep.
where that fish is. Because if that flathead's there, they're smart and they know where that bait's going to be. And they open their mouth and they'll just pull it in and they'll sit there. So it's all about, and you don't want to anchor your boat where the back end of your boat is constantly swaying either. You want to be just off enough and let it trail and fall right where you want it. So it's a lot of just reading the water, not so much reading the electronics.
That's
Hit that right on the head.
she did too. We're big. Actually, what was that? Well, we kind of did it over 3 months, but we actually just did a tournament on this channel. I guess we could call it a channel. Yeah, it's more like
Animal.
it's an animal. It's a beast over here. But we just ran an online tournament here where the anglers were not allowed to use their electronics. They had to go to virgin waters they've never been on, and I think it was really it, wasn't it? Wasn't there something else?
That was pretty much the two main rules.
That was the gist of it. Where
no electronics, new water.
And for that reason, I felt that so many people were missing the boat, no pun intended, by not reading the water. The people that can't read the bank, can't read the water, can't read, structure. And, I wanted to put more focus on, hey, if your electronics quit working today, you going home? Or are you gonna go fish?
Yep.
Are you gonna sit there?
Have you ever been in a tournament when your electronics have quit? It's exciting.
Yeah. But I love that you pointed that out and said that, you even have electronics, and you're right. They don't have to be top of the line to, we don't have top of the line to do what you want to do. I've said this a while back. Most people have electronics that they can't even understand, that they'll never fully get the potential out of. Doesn't matter if you got a $99 Walmart special Eagle Piranha on the front in black and white screen, but if you can read it and you know exactly what's going on, dude, you're way ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, true.
That's exactly right.
The guy's got the big 12-inch, or if you're Chad and you got a 26-inch, Garmin on the front of your boat, weighing it down, it's not going to help you catch fish. You've still got to be able to read it and read the waters. So I love that. I love that you pointed that out. This is I think I know the answer to this, but braid or mono? What size line are you using?
Yeah, I always run, unless we're fishing. Yes, she knows it. Unless, like, when we went down and fished the Mississippi River Monsters tournaments for several years, if you're fishing super deep, super quick water, you almost have to use braid, because of you get, less drag on it with that deep, swift water and stuff but unless we're doing something special like that, I'm always running mono, and it's always 30 pound. I run the same throughout, 30 pound main line, 30 pound leader. I don't like one to be stronger than the other. I don't care about saving a rig if I break it off. I don't really care about that stuff. So I know people say, well, you got sponsors, you don't pay for stuff. So, yeah, but I was that way before. And I just, I like everything to be the same throughout. So I know I can apply the same amount of pressure, when I have to back drag off, when I can tighten it down. I like everything the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
there's actually quite a few people like that. I run a heavier leader. I fish a lot of rock, especially up here by the dam. We fish a lot at the dam, for blues mostly, but I'm in a lot of rock. So for me, I like to run a heavier leader just because there's times when I bring that leader back and it is chewed up like your dog got a hold of it, and you're like, man, So
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Again, that's to each his own.
Right. Oh yeah. No, and that's the thing about me wanting to have you guys on here tonight was, there's a lot of great folks in the community. We've got some fantastic knowledge and some great speakers, but getting different experiences and different views on things, I think, is what the community needs. You don't just keep doing what you're doing because so-and-so did it, or because so-and-so is doing it, or it worked for so-and-so. Take a little bit of everything you get from everybody and make it your own, because everyone lives in different waters and fishes different
Right.
ways.
Yeah, and I think that's where the mono braid thing falls in, because up here we don't have super fast current like the lower Mississippi does.
Right.
I mean, it's different areas of the country require different things, and it's whatever your preference is and whatever works for whatever body of water you're on.
Absolutely. Man,
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to point out, guys, if you've enjoyed hanging out with us tonight, don't forget to go over and check out these guys' YouTube channel. I know the link is pinned at the top of the chat, and Miss Becca, I believe, has been dropping their link as well.
Yeah, she has.
Throughout the evening. So thank you, Becca, for doing that. We've only just barely tipped the iceberg, you know, in a little over an hour of just exactly what these guys are capable of and the times that they have out on the water. So be sure to go check out their channel and give them a thumbs up and leave a comment. If you're hook setting for the first time, you know how that works. You know, give them watch a video, check it out, leave a comment on it. Make sure your hook set sticks so that when they put new information out, you guys can get to it and they won't take your. There you go. We got some folks saying they set the hook on you. They got it going on.
Well, I appreciate it. I just like to forewarn people again that I am not the most gifted when it comes to editing and all that stuff. I turn a camera on and I talk and I do everything in one take. And I always, in every video, I try to share some kind of information, hoping that it helps somebody. And that's kind of what it's for. I enjoy doing. I even got a few videos of my dog on there, and I got a few videos of some other things too. But most of it's catfishing, obviously. But I do the best I can. Also, if you can drop a little bit of knowledge, I know the Catfish Conference is coming up in 10 days, and I'll be hosting the Catfish Academy for Kids down there on Saturday.
Awesome.
In the middle of the day, we're going to have a booth set up, and Lexanne, Ryan Casey, Nick Deshano, owner of Offshore Tackle Planer Boards, Dave Geary, owner of GNS Cheese Bait, Mike Mitchell of Southern Cats Guide Service, myself. We're going to be there, and we're actually going to take your kids, let them come up to the table, and they're going to learn how to tie a rig. They're going to learn how to mix up cheese bait. They're going to learn how to cut skipjack and shad. They're going to learn a female's perspective from catfishing. So not in a seminar form. We're going to come up, do a short little presentation, and then they're going to come up and they're going to they're going to tie a rig. They're going to learn how to click a bait caster and let a sinker drop to the floor and thumb it. Just little basic things like that we can help to teach. And if it goes over well, we want to build it into something each year and get more and more kids involved and just teach them just basic stuff so they don't have to rely on mom and dad. They can teach their friends and they can go get at it. But it's the first time we've got to do it, so we're hoping it's a big success.
Yeah.
That's
love
amazing.
that. Love that. This channel here, I don't know if you've seen us do it in the past, but this channel here, we do 2 kids tournaments through YouTube every year. That we do one in the awesome. Around June, and then we do a Halloween special where the kids and the parents dress up and get points for participating and dressing up and having fun. So we absolutely love kids getting into fishing. I know Freddie just got here. He dropped the $5 super chat for being late. Thank you, Freddie, for the $5. And we know you're a busy man, but he also is huge into the kids side of things and is working with some organizations as well. And we love having the kids in it. I can't preach enough. So I will definitely be over to the academy to check out you guys and what's going on and just take a peek. You guys probably teach me something.
I don't know. Again, you're just out of luck, Roger, because it's for the kids. We are going to make the adults stay back, and this particular event, we want the kids to be front and center. We want them We don't want them looking at their mom and dad. Hey, can I ask a question? We want to make sure they understand this is for them. You know, if we can get a kid to walk away from there that, you know, he knows how to snell a hook and he knows how to cut a bait and he knows, you know, we've made a huge jump. Even if there's 10 kids show up, it doesn't matter. You know, I've been fortunate enough through my life that I've got to work with the USSA and Bridget Donahue up there, and I've got to work through Make-A-Wish, and now I get to do this Catfish Academy for Kids thing. And you know, none of us are Kevin Van Dam or Bill Dance or none of that. But
I don't sell yourself short, man. You guys got an all-star cast up there, buddy.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Yeah, we do, and there's hundreds of years of knowledge in that group of people, and you know, these kids are going to get to learn firsthand from the owner of offshore tackle planer boards how to connect a planer board to a line. That is a skill that most of us did not learn until we were 20 or 30 years into the sport of catfishing. So right. These kids are going to get the opportunity. Who better to learn from than the owner of the damn company? So
yeah, the guy who makes them, exactly.
Yeah. And anybody worth their salt any kind of right. And anybody that knows anything about manufactured bait will tell you that the consistency of the bait is the most important thing. It has to be the right consistency to come off of your worm and create a scent trail. It can't be too runny. It can't be too thick. And Dave Geary, the owner of the company, is the best at it. And he's going to be able to show these kids. And if kids can learn how to use manufactured bait at a young age, they're going to catch a lot of fish, which is going to keep them interested, right? Yeah. So then they're going to graduate up the scale. So I think it's a great opportunity. And when I talked to Steve Douglas about it, he was all about it, which I'm really happy for. Steve has done great things with the conference and listening to people's input. And, you know, I've known Steve since the first day he built his rod. As a matter of fact, me and Steve fished the first ever Cabela's King Cat tournament on the Rock River in 2009. We fished that tournament together. So I've known Steve for long time. We fished the Green River down there together, the Ohio River together, the Rock River. So really happy and proud for Steve, what he's done there. And we continue to grow.
Matt, this might be something to keep in your back pocket, but this guy right here, Freddie's Outdoor Adventures, he actually started a manufacturing rods this year that were specially designed for kids. They have a short rod on them. These are 5-foot rods and 6-foot rods, and I've got my hands on them. And he's had guys testing them out. They're hanging 60-pound fish and bigger on these kids and kayak rods. And
they're composite rods. They're composite rods. They're light. They got a great action. I know myself. I've got 2 of his rods, and we hung some really nice blues in that ripping Mississippi current. Those rods will handle it. They're really great.
Yeah, they're getting rave reviews, and the quality of these rods. You know, I wouldn't bring it up if I didn't think it was. You know, I would just ignore it. But the quality of these rods that he's making is just fantastic. It's really good stuff.
Just the fact that somebody's doing it is you know, is good enough. I mean, when good intentions will take you a long way. I mean, and you know, everybody that comes out with a new product needs time. You know, people want to bash things right away. They need time. I mean, Chevrolet, Ford, and Dodge, they're still making adjustments on vehicles, right? And they've been doing them for years and years and years, trying to make things better. I mean, it's amazing how fast people will condemn a rod or a reel or something. And, you know, hey, maybe that company don't know, or maybe the reason why they have they have carbon fiber gears or brass gears or this gears because this one, they made these to be affordable and they made these to be durable. I mean, you just don't know, but you know, it's our nature to bash things. You got to give people time and to do things. I mean, granted, you guys are saying it's a great rod, but even if it wasn't, I mean, the fact that he's trying to make something specifically for kids is a step in the right direction anyhow, you know. So I had to send my wife for coffee.
Oh, does that mean things have to pick up?
I put my foot down. Did you see it? Did you see me put my foot down? That was my version of putting my foot down. I said, hey, does the dog need to go out? And she said, I'll let it out. That was me putting my foot down. I hinted.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
She's bigger than I am. I don't ever mess with her. You know, when me and Michelle met 10 years ago, she had fished a little bit, but she knew nothing of catfishing, and she picked stuff up like a sponge, probably because I never shut up talking about it. So she was kind of forced to hear lots of information. So,
right.
You know, if you have a wife or a daughter or a kid, or there's nothing better than one of your loved ones sharing the same passions you do. I mean, it's really neat. You know, the first time you get up to go to a tournament and your wife's already up and dressed or something like that. I mean, those are cool times, you know.
Yeah.
So that's not just kids, you know, your spouses and whatever. It's a neat deal, and it's given me an avenue to talk more, right? Because she asks a lot of questions. So I get to run my mouth more, you know, and she's, unfortunately, she has to sit and listen to it. But I love Captain. I mean, you didn't bring my coffee? Oh my gosh, Gamma.
I let the dog out.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to go get my coffee, apparently. Take the floor. I'm going to go get my coffee, Gamma.
Okay. I don't even know what you were talking about.
I was talking about you.
He was just saying how that was code for go and get coffee, but she literally took the dog out. See, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I let the dog out to go potty.
Well, Michelle,
Oh,
since how you like the open face and he's running bait casters, what kind of reels are you guys using? I already know the answer, but.
Yeah, well, I use Cast King, and
Right.
I love their Centrons. I actually just started using Megatrons from Cast King, and they come in different sizes, and it's smooth, and I love them. They're really good for, and I know a lot of men who use spinning. They're really good for women if you want to start to get into fishing and you want to go with your husband and make it like a date day and stuff. It's a good one to start off with. My suggestion to women is don't be afraid to ask questions. And I have one request for some of the men that are out there. Not all men. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Not all men are like this. But when you're at a tournament, or even if you're just out fishing and there's guys around, if a female asks a question, don't ignore her. Don't act like she's dumb, like it's a dumb question. Help her. Make her want to come with you. Because we have some of our best times out on the water and fishing. And stop talking. And and that's how I've learned a lot of my stuff, is because I was asking questions and I was treated bad by some men in different tournament scenes and stuff. And it started to turn me off. And I thought, you know what? No, I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to watch and listen to the guys talk to each other and stuff. And like I said, not all men are like that. But if you want to get your wife involved or girlfriend, whatever, help her, teach her. She will be willing to learn, and she can back the boat and she can drive the boat and she can do all that stuff. And it's a good time, and it's some of the best times you'll ever have out on the water.
Absolutely.
Hey. And my puppy's in here watching now.
Michelle, what rods are you using then, and what size are the Megatrons? Somebody's asking in chat.
Well, I actually use Megatrons for my bait rods that I got, and I also use the Megatrons for my big catfishing all the way up to flatheads. I've got flathead rods. I use Cast King rods. So I've got the Kong, I've got Centrons for bait, I've got my Cast Cats, I've got Cat Techs, And they're just different sizes for whether I'm targeting channels, whether I'm targeting blues, whether I'm targeting flatheads. And that just depends basically, on the backbone and the tip, kind of like it does with, Twisted Cat and Mad Cats. I mean, it's like that with all rods. But they start, the reel goes with the rod. Obviously, the smaller the rod for the bait fishing is the smaller, and the 1,000, the 2,000, 3,000 on up. I don't have any 4 or 5,000s. 3,000s are plenty big enough for me.
Right.
You run 4s and 5s for catfish. You got some 4s, don't you?
No, I don't have any 4s. No, 3's the biggest I got.
I'll be damned. Look at you go.
Look at me go.
Yeah. I run the Rover series. Obviously, I love the Rover 60 is a great all-around reel. It's small enough to where it's not overkill, but it's big enough to handle anything. And the Cast King Capstan I've went to almost exclusively the capstans for flathead fishing. They're a low-profile reel. They cast amazing. They have really good line capacity, even for mono, 30-pound mono, which is fairly thick. But they are so smooth. 35 pounds of drag, which you'll never need, but I mean, it is it's got a big click. They're amazing low profile reels. I love them, and obviously, I pair them with the Mad Catch rods, but I love, Cast King gets a rap, for, the old days when they first started. They had issues with quality but I'm telling you what, I don't care what a lot of these blowhards say on the internet. Cast King makes some good reels, man. I've got some Rover 50s and 60s out there that I've been using for more than 4 years. I have not even ever put oil or grease on them. And I have fished in the winter, the summer, the rain, the snow. I drop them all the time. And you're talking a $50 reel. So I let people talk, well, I bought one and the gear stripped out. Yeah, well, you probably had the drag locked down. You were probably reeling against the drag. You probably don't really know how to use the reel. I mean, I know that there's a bad, you go out and buy a bad Maserati tomorrow too. But I mean, it's just, I'm telling you, you can, if you've got $150, you want to buy $150 reels, hey, go ahead. That's great. But you ain't got to make little comments. I ain't buying that cheap junk. Well, I'm going to save $100 on a reel, and I know it'll last as long as your $150 reel, and that's just the end of it. But
I got a buddy who runs all Rover 60s, and he's had them for at least 4 years, and that's what he's still using.
Are you kidding me? They got me up to 992 subscriptions tonight.
I know.
I'm only 8 away.
I was just getting ready to say that. If we got 8 folks here in chat that haven't already hit the thumbs up, man, I would love to. That would be a great way to thank these guys for coming on tonight and spending their time with us.
You got 995 as of right now. So
show them a little love and help them hit that 1K tonight on Muskrat Adventures and chat with Mr. Creole. That would be fantastic.
Hey,
no, you guys are great. I that's the main reason why I want to go live on YouTube, is because I love talking about catfishing. When I had girlfriends back in high school and junior high, and she was not one of them. When
you want to Valentine's Day?
No. Oh, I tried.
You did.
I tried. Don't get me wrong. I tried. But I only had a few, and the reason was because, a lot of times on Friday nights when they'd want to go hang out, I would give them directions to the river. And I had a couple of farmers where I could park, and I would pack my rods, my reels, my bait bucket, my tackle, and me and my buddies, we would walk sometimes a mile or two. We would build a campfire, and we fished all night. And I say, if you want to come hang out, I'd love that, but that's where I'm going to be. And I can still see clear as a bell. I had a Zebco 202, a brown one, leaning on a log, in the Elkhorn Creek, and my dad was about 75 yards downstream, and he was setting a bank pole. And I was standing on that muddy bank, and I can remember the rod doubling over the log and just flopping, because you know how them old Zebco rods were, and it's just flopping. And I reeled in, must have been about 3 pounds, and I thought it was 30 pounds, but I was 6. And I never stopped. From that day, I never stopped, winter, summer. And there was some other river rats around here, old timers, that taught me some things and told me, hey, you know, you can catch them in the winter. And then I'd take the ball and run and learn more about it and stuff. But catfishing has been number one for me for, you know,
This is number one love.
47 years now. I've been living and breathing catfishing, and I just love it. And I got so many memories. Hopefully I got time to make, God willing, I got time to make more, but I love the sport. I love the fish. And, you know, I've met so many good people. I've met far more good people than bad. That's for sure. And
Definitely.
had far, far more good experiences than bad experiences. And I want so bad for it to be, you know, for the drama and everything to stop, and for, you know, the fish to get the recognition it deserves. I want so bad for that. Don't know if I'll see it in my time, but you know, I've done a lot. I know I've done my share and more to try and help, and there's a lot of good people that out there that I have too. And what a fish and what a sport. We're lucky to be part of it, and I'm so thankful that my dad, you know, I can still remember him carrying me across creeks on his shoulder, him carrying poles and a minnow bucket and a flashlight. And all of us know about Dad yelling at us because we're holding the light and we ain't shining it where it needs to be shine. And
we don't want to shine it where the sun don't shine. That's,
I'm telling you, man. I mean, I couldn't quantify it. You know, I couldn't put a number on the memories and the moments, the people, the fish. I couldn't even scratch the surface if I tried. You know, I just know it's me from the ground up. That's just, it is, you know. I think I got catfish slime running through my veins, I think.
There you go.
But
hey, real quick,
I love it.
I got a couple things to share with you. First thing, this is a big deal here from Freddy's Outdoor Adventures. They call him FOA Customs and Gear. He's the one that makes the kids' rods. He's going to give you 2 of the rods to do whatever you want with at CatCon. So he's going to donate.
Oh man! Thank you, man. We're going to make sure a little boy and a little girl walks away with them. Or we have our catfish camp coming up in June, and we do a lot of giveaways for kids there too. That's going to be in La Crosse, Wisconsin, at Pettibone Resort, right in the middle of the Mississippi River.
Wow.
And love to have you guys come up, man. You could do a live show from there.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It is a really cool deal. We eat, we film, and we fish. That's what we do, and we do it from Friday to Sunday morning.
That's what makes our world go around. Hey, also, real quick, I want to let you know that you guys are now sitting at 1,009 subscribers.
Yep.
Wow.
Cool.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Yes.
I knew our audience could do it. I knew it.
Yeah. Well, you know,
that's amazing. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
The chat has been very interactive tonight. You know, lots of comments, lots of questions have been coming in for you guys. A lot of love shown. So a great connection. Information you've shared tonight, and the audience here tonight has eaten it up. So thank you guys so much. We usually stop this at about an hour. We're an hour and 40 minutes.
If you don't shut me up, we'll be here till.
Keep going.
I love talking about catfishing, man. I love it.
He kisses every flathead he catches before he puts it back in the water.
So he does have catfish slime running through his veins. He's been putting it
I
in
do.
He
his
does. He does.
I do.
Uh,
You know, when I was guiding real hard on the rock, you know, I would catch, you know, 130 to 150 a season on guide trips, you know, which is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of flathead. A lot of people like it, but really, if you count, you know, 130, 140 flatheads, that's a lot in a year.
Oh,
You know, and there was days I wondered how many fish were left in that river that I hadn't kissed, and you know, I don't know. I fell in love with them fish at a young age. You know, if I can share one more story, I know you guys probably are tired of me listening.
One more.
Go for it.
Probably tired of listening to it. The very first time I took Michelle fishing, I have to tell this story. It's really fast.
He tells everybody the story.
it must be a good one.
She's
Well,
laughing. It's got to be a good one.
The fall bite was starting. The water temp was cool, and it was like in the low 60s.
We had just started. We had just got together. Okay.
We had just got together. Yeah, I had two forward-facing seats. I had a G3 1966 side console, and Michelle is sitting in one of the seats. I got rods out the back, and Michelle's sitting in the passenger seat, and she's reading a book.
He's like, "You want to go fishing?" Oh yeah, I want to go fishing.
At this point, I'm wondering if we're going to make it because she has no interest, and really, she had no interest in what we're doing. And so I hooked this fish. This fish running upstream with my bait, and I'm trying to catch up to this fish to set hook, and I finally set hook. I set hook. He says, "No way." He takes off, and it's on. And I knew right away it was a big fish. And I mean, I fight this. I had backed down to my fall gear, which is lighter tackle because it's a much lighter bite and stuff. So anyway, I'm fighting this fish, and I'm fighting this, and literally,
he's like, "I got a fish." But that's nice. Good job, baby.
yeah, she didn't pay no attention. And I'm laying. I literally felt like Mike Iaconelli, right? I'm laying on my side, rod up in the air. I'm trying, and this isn't like a 4-pound bass, you know. It's actually a 52-pound flathead, right? And I got the rod, and it'll take off again. I got to stand back up, and I reel, and I'm leaning back. I'm rolling around the boat, and I finally get my hand on the bottom jaw of this fish. I'm literally out of breath, and so I roll up, and man, that's a nice one. And she just literally does not even turn around. So I stand up
Good job, honey. Good job.
yeah, she just keeps on reading. I stand up, and I've got this fish, and she turns around. She goes, "Oh, that's nice." She turns, and she double takes, and she turns back around, and right then, I had her.
I'm like,
Yep.
"Oh, I want to catch one."
Yeah, I had her.
That was
There
it.
you go.
That's all it took. The book went out. The book was gone.
Yep, and
That's
that's
why
what
you
it.
kept her. I was wondering there for a minute.
Well, I probably would have kept her anyway, but she.
Yeah, maybe not.
She's done a lot for me than just become my fishing partner. She saved my life more than once. So no, that's just one of the millions of memories I'll never forget about catfishing. The double take. It's that 1 second where she looked at it, turned back, and then she looked back, and her eyes were about that big, and I realized I knew right then I had her. That was it. She wasn't going nowhere because nobody else around here was really out targeting flathead. So there was no other guy to run to that was going to put her on those fish. So I was like, I got her.
You got it right here. I can relate to the whole dating thing, telling them to go to the river. I've been single for like a year now, and I meet girls, and I'm like, "You want to get nasty?" You're like, "Yeah." Meet me at the boat ramp, 5 a.m.
Yeah.
What?
That's a whole different kind of nasty there.
We're going to get nasty.
Yeah, you were going to get nasty, yeah.
Next time, ask her if she wants to get blind.
Oh.
Because they're slimy and it's fun
That's a
and
good one.
it's good. The dirtier you get, the better the fishing is.
No wonder you kept her.
Yeah. I'm starting to see why.
Yeah.
Hey,
No,
guys. Hey, I got some messages here, so I need to double check on Mom, see what's going on here. But yeah, but man, we've had a good time tonight. A lot of great information shared. I did see this one. I'm sorry. I'll ask one more question. Brad, who actually makes sinkers for all of us in the community, wanted to know what types of sinkers that you prefer to use. That's a great question.
Again, I love no rolls. I feel like I can control them better, and I know exactly what they're going to do. They slide, I know if they're going to slide, whether I need to use a 3 or a 4 or a 6 or an 8, and I know what weight I need to throw and what current to keep it from moving too fast. And I really like that flat sinker, again, less drag. So I really prefer I use no rolls 95% of the time, and I'll use a bank sinker or something along that line when I'm 3-weighing.
Right.
And, so I do have some cannonballs just in case I decide to bump, but I'm not a bumper, man. I mean, I know it'll cost, you need to bump in some situations to do good, but I don't care enough about tournament fishing and stuff to,
right.
I don't think there's a lot of bumping up in our area up here.
You can, but I mean, I just don't, if that's what it, I just don't really care. I enjoy anchoring properly and getting on. That's just what I enjoy. I enjoy anchoring. So that's
more into the chess game of going after those fish.
You took the words out of my mouth, man.
I've been hanging around you.
You two are going to start. You guys will probably start to look alike in another year or two.
Hey, so if you
guys
would
be more insulted by that, me or him?
You should be more insulted. Hey, if you guys missed it, Matt, Michelle, are you going to be at CatCon too?
No, I have to work.
Okay, I didn't want to just assume. I figured I'd ask. So Matt will be.
Yeah, I have to work, so I'm not going to be there this year.
So if you guys have enjoyed and hanging out, I see a lot of folks have said, "Hey, I can't wait to meet you at CatCon. Can't wait to see you." Make sure you introduce yourself to him. Obviously, he didn't see any of your faces, so you say, "Hey, I saw you on Muskrat."
Yeah. Well, and I seminared at the Catfish Conference a couple years back, and I've been fortunate to do a lot of seminars, and I feel like after you watch yourself do things, and I felt like I gave out a lot of really good information, and that I thought I did anyway, like I said, but I was really happy with that one. So if they get a chance, they can and want to watch that, they can check that out on the Catfish Conference YouTube channel.
Yep, that's right. That was a really good one. As a matter of fact, I remember being, I think I was a second row listening to you.
But it was long because everything I had taught, if I'm talking, it's long.
You fit right in over here, buddy.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize about that was I was actually having a heart attack when I did that seminar. You'll notice I was sitting down when I did that seminar, and it was 6 weeks later. My heart stopped 38 times, and I ended up with a pacemaker. But the symptoms of that heart problem started the night before Catfish Conference.
Oh, wow.
He's a trooper, man.
Yeah, I was actually, you could hear me. If you look, you can see I'm breathing a little hard, and I keep going like this. And I had to sit down, and that whole saga started that day.
People have already, Brad in here says that was a very good video. He's already watched it twice.
So good.
I appreciate everybody.
He's already found
I appreciate everybody for subscribing. I always been very appreciative of everything that's done anything. I said you don't expect it. It's just nice when it happens.
That's right.
You've earned it. It's not like not like you just showed up with a silver spoon and everybody started throwing stuff at you. You put in a lot of years and a lot of time. So we've had a great.
We can get into that.
That's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother show.
Another episode.
No, stop. We're not doing that right now.
I've been.
He's got to find out about his mom.
I know it.
Yeah, we've had a great crowd tonight. We still got 58 people hanging out with us tonight, so I really hate to leave it, but and we've been around what 60, 70 most of the night, 80
Oh,
over
yeah.
there for a while.
Great,
So
great
we've
crowd.
had a good crowd tonight for Valentine's Day. A lot of folks are out doing other things. Man, thanks you guys.
But it's
so much.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I know it.
Well, we'll do it again in a couple months.
Hey,
Yeah,
absolutely,
definitely.
absolutely.
That way you can tell me everything I'm doing wrong, because I'm going to try everything from now till then. So
No, I don't know about that. I'll do my best. I certainly don't know everything. I, just still learning myself, but I love it.
absolutely.
If you ain't learning, you're done, because at that point you think
Right.
you know it all, and you're done. So anyway, I really gotta go. Thank you guys so much. Happy Valentine's Day.
Take care. We'll
Thank
pray for
you.
your mom, Robert. Take her easy.
Thank you guys for getting these guys up over 1K. Last I saw, they was like 1,010. So
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for your support and
Thank
showing
you.
appreciation for these
thank
guys'
you.
time. And we'll see you guys here next. I almost said Saturday. We'll see you here next Tuesday night. Same cat time, same cat channel. Good night, everybody.
Don't push everybody.